Hey guys, welcome to another Heroic here. We're doing Halls of Stone today. Halls of Stone Heroic. Same warrior tank from the last video here. We've got a different Death Knight, but otherwise we've got the same other Death Knight DPS and that same Warlock. I want to look at this tank's spec actually. He's using the arms, the special arms dungeon spec here. I had a feeling he was. So that's pretty cool to see. So if any of you guys were interested in how that was going to work out, looks like you can still use it in heroic dungeons. Raids, I'm not so sure on, but we'll have to see. I mean, it's very possible. Naxxramas isn't too difficult. Halls of Stone, a cool dungeon with some interesting lore implications in it. Later on in the dungeon, we'll come across Bran Bronzebeard. And we'll tell you a little bit about his story. Fair amount of damage on these first couple packs here, but nothing too crazy. Another non-linear dungeon. You can do this dungeon in a couple of different ways. So you come in over here, you head down this way, you can go do the quarry, you can go forward, and they, like from where I'm standing now, and there's a boss similar to Maiden from Karazhan. If you go up this way, that's where you'll find Bran Bronzebeard. I'm not sure if you have to do that one after the other two. I don't think you do, though. This is most common, I believe, is to go right here and deal with the quarry first. Something nice about all priest specializations in Wrath of the Lich King is everybody gets Holy Nova, so you can throw out a little bit of DPS and keep your party topped off as well. Love to get a little more mana, though. So we can contribute some AoE DPS. Always nice as a healer to find a few ways that you can squeeze out a little more utility. Especially as these dungeons get easier and easier with higher gear. I think that's going to be a real asset to your group, especially if you're trying to be efficient, is to find ways that you can throw in a little DPS for yourself. Boss is up there. Crystallis. Pretty similar to Gruul, if I'm remembering correctly, in how his mechanics work. So if you did Gruul during TBC, you'll be relatively familiar with his mechanics. Okay, we're not really getting as much mana as I would have liked. We're going to use our Hymn of Hope here, restore a little bit of mana for ourselves, and we'll go ahead and use a potion as well. And we're almost back at full. Throw our power infusion on our Warlock again, like we did in that last dungeon we had him in. Yeah, so if you can beat this boss quick enough, I think you're going to basically bypass his mechanics. We'll see if we end up getting it or not. Yep, so we got to bypass it. What he will do, yeah, he will sort of start to slow you very quickly, and then you'll be frozen in place, just like Gruul does. But, like you saw, if you've got enough DPS, can whip right by it. Ebon Gargoyle did so much damage there. Ripping right ahead. This is that next boss here, that maiden-style boss. So she will put a stun out on the group, but if you're stood in a void zone, in this case, you won't. You'll be snapped out of that and be able to return to the fight. Right. We definitely need to man up here. Almost there. Let's top the group up.
You shouldn't have come. Now you will die.
And here we go. Alright, looks like there's also a dispel there. That is the void zone I was talking about. And I believe Shock of Sorrow is, yep, the incapacitation. So by stepping into that void zone, we get to bypass that damage. So just watch for that that cast there, and you should be fine. There's that Shock of Sorrow. Probably should have bubbled the group rather than gone for the AoE heal there, but that's okay.
I hope you all rot! I never wanted this.
Definitely have to spend more time healing this Arms Warrior build than other tanks I've played with. Not that it makes the dungeon undoable by any means. In fact, it probably makes it more fun as a healer to have somebody playing that spec, just so you have a little more to do. But it gets reflected in that my group members sit at a lower health for a little bit longer time. Now we're making our way towards Bran Bronzebeard, which is effectively the next boss of the dungeon. While there isn't a specific boss that you're fighting, he has sort of a gauntlet escort mechanic here. We'll see him up ahead pretty soon. The interesting lore implications here in this dungeon sort of expand upon the crystal discs from Uldaman, where you learn about the origin of the dwarves, how they were once earthen, and grew into the dwarves we know today through the curse of flesh and the corruption of the old gods. Alright, so we'll talk to Bran here and get this started.
Just got to know.
It would be an honor.
Get some answers. Let's get this show on the road.
Here comes Bran, and we got a couple mobs in front of us here. Alright, so down here, down these steps is where the majority of this boss encounter takes place. We're going to face wave after wave of mobs coming down this way. And our job is to defend Bran as he works at this console here. We will also get shots of lightning coming out of the statue's eyes. And they'll also throw sort of a fire patch on the ground, if I recall.
Okay then. Let's do this.
Let's do this. That's right, Bran. Let's do this.
Now keep an eye out. I'll have this licked in 2 shakes of a...
Warning. Lifeform pattern not recognized. Archival processing terminated.
So, this is definitely slow.
Continued interference will result in
And
targeted response.
makes this one of the longer
That
dungeons,
doesn't
I would
sound
say.
good. We might have a complication or two.
Complication or two, or 20, 30 mobs maybe.
Analysis of historical archives. Transferred to lower priority queue. Countermeasures engaged.
Ah, you want to play hardball, eh? That's just my game.
Hardball. That's just his game. As a disciplined priest, you see how these bolts of light energy are flying out. I find if you just keep a shield on everybody, it can't even really break it. It's very low damage. Really, I think the idea is it keeps you in combat more than anything else. So be conscious of your mana if you're healing here. Disciplined Priest, one of the more mana efficient healers, I think we'll be fine here. We've got plenty of potions. We've got our Mana Fiend and our Hymn of Hope all available. We might not even need any of them though.
Couple more minutes and I'll...
Yeah, couple more minutes.
Threat index threshold exceeded. Celestial archive uploaded. Security
Aye.
level
What's the
heightened.
good news?
Definitely a bit of a snooze fest here. Let's take another look at this Warrior's talent tree while we're waiting. Oh, hello. So far enough into protection to pick up a couple of talents to keep yourself alive, as well as improved revenge. Down to vigilance even, so really is about a 50-50 split, 37 versus 34 points. Pretty cool to see. Threat a rebuff here. Looks like there's those balls of shadow that these heads threw out as well. Pretty boring. Definitely wouldn't mind if this had been changed, I think, but no changes, I guess.
So that was the problem.
Although Blizzard
Now
has
I'm
talked
ready for
about
this.
buffing these heroics later in the expansion, I think, in a couple of blue posts, so that would be kind of cool to see. I think they would have to up the rewards, or if they were too hard,
Hang
people
on.
would just stop running them.
Nobody's gonna be sanitized as long as I have a say in it.
There's that fire on the floor that I was talking about. Let's read a little Mass Dispel here. Yeah, so if you just stand in that fire, obviously it will do a little bit of damage to you. Rest of the group not too enthralled with this fight either. Unsurprising. Kinda easy though. Yep, definitely kinda easy though. Looks like we did in the end up using our mana replenishment abilities.
Now let's get down to
Alert. Security failsafes deactivated. Beginning memory purge and
No, 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 no!
All
Where did I
persistent
Aha! This should do the trick.
Part of that is I think we have no source of the replenishment buff in this group. I think a replenishment buff would have done a lot to
welcome Brand Bronson.
keep our mana
Query.
a little bit more,
Brand
a little bit higher.
Session terminated.
Alright, so now Bran is going to stealth off and he's going to meet us up at the Forge of Wills, I believe, for the last boss. Oh, did the Orc... I think Orc Warrior XD, our tank here, might have thought that was the end. But nope, one more boss. Yep, so straight ahead. Clear up the last of these mobs. You see, yep, here's Bran hiding in his stealth here. I guess Bran Bronzebeard is a rogue. But, so we're approaching the Forge of Wills, which is a source of earthen and iron dwarves and Vrykul too, maybe? But Bran Bronzebeard is going to turn it to our will, so he's going to make it shoot out friendly guys, is his idea here. It's guarded by this last boss here.
Don't worry, old Bram's got your back. Keep that little monstrosity busy and I'll see if I can't sweet talk this machine into helping you.
Escape the
Yeah.
curse of
Sweet talk the machine into helping us, he says. This boss, other than ads joining from the left and the right, I'm not sure exactly what he does. We'll see if it's anything impactful or not. It's like a dispel. Oh, some Trogs have come to join the fight, and some malformed ooze. Little mass dispel here. Ooh, lots of dispel happening here.
Until the forge is retaken.
But that was the whole thing. That was the boss fight. So, was a pretty quick one.
Nothing.
Alright guys, well that was Halls of Stone for you.
Right bothersome. We might have neutralized
We'll let the
iron
RP play out
dwarfs,
here.
but I'd lay odds there's another machine somewhere else, churning out a whole mess of these iron Vrykul.
Yeah, I believe he's talking about Halls of Lightning
I'll
there.
use the forge to make batches of earthen to stand guard, but our greatest challenge still remains. Find and stop Loken.
Yep, who's the last boss of Halls of Lightning? Loken there. Alright, well that's it guys. Thanks again. See you later.